The afternoon sun filtered through the trees on Riverside Plaza, casting dappled shadows across the wide concrete steps where office workers took their lunch breaks. Daniel Morrison sat there with his daughter Lily, sharing a simple turkey sandwich wrapped in brown paper. He wore his usual gray hoodie over a comfortable t-shirt, his dark hair slightly tousled from the morning breeze. They'd made it a tradition, these Wednesday lunches between his morning custodial shift and her half-day at school. Lily was chattering about her art class when Daniel noticed the girl. She sat 3 steps below them, maybe 9 or 10 years old, with long brown hair and shoulders that curved inward like she was trying to disappear. Her school uniform was pristine, her backpack expensive-looking, but something about her posture made Daniel's heart ache. "Daddy," Lily whispered, tugging his sleeve. "That girl looks sad." Daniel had learned over his 43 years that sometimes the loneliest people were surrounded by the most things. He unwrapped the second half of their sandwich, the one he'd been saving for his dinner break. "Excuse me," he said gently, leaning forward. "Are you okay?" The girl looked up, startled. Her eyes were red-rimmed. "I'm fine. You don't look fine, honey. When's the last time you ate something?" She shrugged, looking away. "My mom's supposed to pick me up. She's in a meeting." Daniel glanced at his watch. It was almost 2 o'clock. "How long have you been waiting?" "Since school let out at noon." Without a word, Daniel stood and walked down to her step, holding out half the sandwich. "Here. You can't think straight on an empty stomach. My mother used to tell me that." The girl stared at the sandwich like it was a puzzle she couldn't solve. "I can't take your lunch. Already ate my half. This was extra. It wasn't true, but it was kind, and Daniel had long ago learned the difference between facts and truth. Lily scooted down to join them, her own honest face breaking into a smile. "It's really good. Daddy makes the best sandwiches. He cuts them diagonal because it tastes better that way." The girl's lip trembled, and she took the sandwich with both hands. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'm Daniel. This is my daughter, Lily. What's your name?" "Sophie." They sat together on those sun-warmed steps, 3 people who'd been strangers moments before. Sophie ate slowly, like she was savoring more than just the food. Daniel didn't ask questions. He'd learned that lonely people didn't need interrogation. They needed presence. "My mom works a lot," Sophie finally said, her voice small. "She's important. She runs a big company. I'm sure she is important," Daniel said carefully. "But, you know what? You're important too." Sophie looked at him with eyes too old for her young face. She forgets sometimes. Not on purpose, she just forgets. Daniel felt that familiar weight in his chest, the one he'd carried since his wife passed 5 years ago, the weight of trying to be enough, of knowing you sometimes fell short. "Being a parent is the hardest job in the world," he said softly. "We mess up, all of us, but that doesn't mean we don't love with everything we have." Behind them, unnoticed, a woman stood frozen on the plaza. Catherine Reynolds wore her signature white blazer over a lavender blouse, her brown leather bag clutched in her hand. She'd run from her office building, heart pounding, phone in hand with security alerts about her daughter's school reporting Sophie hadn't been picked up. And here was her baby, sitting on public steps, eating a sandwich from a stranger because her mother had lost track of time in a merger negotiation. Catherine's first instinct was to rush forward, to explain, to apologize. But something in the scene before her made her pause. Sophie was smiling, actually smiling. Talking to this man in his worn gray hoodie, laughing at something his daughter had said. "Your daddy seems really nice, Sophie," said to Lily. "He is. He's the best daddy in the world. Sometimes we have picnics for dinner right in our living room because he says happiness doesn't need a fancy restaurant." Daniel caught sight of Catherine then, standing there with her hand pressed to her throat. Their eyes met, and he saw everything in her face, the guilt, the fear, the exhaustion of trying to hold too much at once. He stood slowly, gently. "Sophie, I think someone's here for you." Sophie turned and saw her mother. Something complicated crossed her face, relief mixed with resignation. "Mom." Catherine walked forward on unsteady legs, her polished heels clicking against the concrete. "Sophie, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I got caught in a meeting, and I lost track of time and... It's okay, Mom. Sophie's voice was quiet, practiced at forgiveness. But it wasn't okay, and Catherine knew it. She looked at Daniel, this stranger who'd shown her daughter more kindness than she'd managed all week. Thank you for staying with her. I don't know how to... No need, Daniel said simply. Anyone would have done the same. But they both knew that wasn't true. People had been walking past Sophie for 2 hours. Catherine knelt down to her daughter's level, not caring that her expensive slacks were pressing against the dusty concrete. Sophie, I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. You deserve better than this. Sophie's eyes filled with tears. You always say you're sorry. The words hung in the air like a bell that couldn't be unrung. Catherine felt them land in her chest, sharp and true. You're right, she said, her own voice breaking. I do, and I need to do better than sorry. Daniel touched Lily's shoulder. Come on, sweetheart. We should let them talk. But Catherine looked up at him. This man who'd given his lunch to a lonely child. Please, wait a moment. She stood, pulling out her wallet. Let me give you something for the sandwich, for your time. No, ma'am. Daniel's voice was gentle but firm. That's not why people help people. Catherine stared at him, and in that moment, she saw something she'd forgotten existed. Simple human decency, given freely, expecting nothing in return. Then let me buy you lunch, she said, both of you. There's a cafe around the corner. Please. I'd like to thank you properly, and maybe Sophie would like to spend a little more time with her new friends. Sophie looked up hopefully. Can we, Mom, please? Daniel met Catherine's eyes. He saw exhaustion there, yes, but also something else. A woman trying to find her way back to what mattered. He knew something about that journey. Lunch sounds nice, he said. They walked together to the small cafe 3 blocks away, Sophie holding her mother's hand on one side and chattering to Lily on the other. Catherine and Daniel fell into step behind them, 2 adults watching their children navigate the complicated world of almost friendship. I'm Catherine Reynolds, she said quietly. I run Meridian Technologies. Daniel Morrison. I'm a custodian at the Fletcher building downtown. She glanced at him, surprised by his directness. Most people added qualifiers, made excuses for honest work. How long have you been doing that? 5 years, since my wife died. Needed something with steady hours so I could raise Lily. I'm sorry about your wife. Thank you, and I'm sorry about whatever is pulling you in so many directions you can't get to your daughter on time. Catherine felt tears prick her eyes. When was the last time someone had acknowledged her struggle without judgment? It's not an excuse. No, but it's a reason. There's a difference. Over sandwiches and soup, the 4 of them talked. Sophie told her mother about school. Really told her, not just the surface details she usually offered. Lily shared stories about their weekend adventures, the small joys of a life lived simply, and Catherine found herself relaxing in a way she hadn't in years, listening to this man who seemed to have figured out what she'd lost somewhere along the way. How do you do it? She asked Daniel when the girls had run off to look at the cafe's fish tank. Balance everything? Daniel smiled, a little sadly. I don't balance it, Catherine. I choose it. Every day. I choose Lily. Some days that means my house is a mess. Some days that means we eat cereal for dinner. But she knows, without question, that she matters more than anything else. I've been choosing wrong, Catherine whispered. You've been choosing what you thought you had to choose. That's different. He paused, stirring his coffee. My wife used to say that success isn't measured in the things we build. It's measured in the people we love and who love us back. Took me losing her to understand what she meant. Catherine watched Sophie at the fish tank, her face pressed close to the glass, Lily beside her pointing at something. Her daughter looked happier than she'd seen her in months. I've been building an empire and losing my daughter, she said. Then stop building for a while, or build different things. Children don't need empires. They need presence. It was harsh truth delivered kindly, and Catherine felt it settle into her bones. I don't know if I can change everything overnight. Nobody can. But you can choose differently tomorrow than you did today, and then the day after that. Small choices, made consistently, They add up to a life. That evening, Catherine did something she hadn't done in months. She canceled her evening conference calls. She turned off her phone. She sat on the floor of Sophie's room and listened, really listened.